Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to this edition of Welcome Wednesday. I've missed you guys. It's been a couple of weeks because I've been out of town for some awesome training and now I'm back. Yay! Today I'm actually going to be bringing in a special guest. So if you guys will give me just a second to get her on, we will chat about something that's very special to all of us as a team. And it's something that when we are together, we seem to spend a lot of time talking about it. And so I love, to bring you guys health and wellness tips. And this is a little more of a story. And this is a very, very dear friend of mine that I'm bringing in. Hey, how are you this morning, my dear? She and I just spent, I'm going to invite her one more time. Gail, are you there? Hang on just a Hey, Gail, how are you?
Am I on? Okay.
You are on. Good morning. I
Good.
just had to go kick my son off the internet so that you and I could do this.
Okay.
So I love technology. Love technology. Good morning. Good morning. How are you, my dear?
Good. Good.
Good. I'm so glad you're on here today. Guys, this is my friend Gail Petrus. She and I have known each other for, gosh, what, a couple of years now. We met longer than that.
3.5, I think. Yeah.
She and I met each other through a mutual friend, and she is part of, she and I actually we work together, we play together, we kind of, what did you say? We don't just do oils, we do life.
We do life.
We do life together, and that means a lot to me as a person, but it also means that we talk about a lot of things. And Gail has been kind enough to agree to come on here today and share with you guys her story about Eric. So Gail, can you first of all either tell us a little bit about you and tell us a little bit about Eric, but just share your story for a minute.
Okay. Well, I'm married. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a mom of 3. And Eric, I'm going to see if I can show you a picture so I can put a face with. Does that show up?
Yes, I can see it very clearly. Can everybody see it? Y'all give us a thumbs up or a wave if you can see Eric. Awesome. Thank you, Gail.
That's my Eric. And you had asked me to come on and talk about grief. And that was my picture of the cause of my grief. We lost Eric 5.5 years ago. At 20 years of age, he was spunky when he was a child. I always said Eric was the one that kept me on my knees for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
He was spunky, he was energetic, he was mischievous, and he was a little too much like me. So I apologize to my husband for that many times. But at 20 years of age, he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, which the doctors told us if you had to have a cancer, that was a good one to have because it was 90% chance cure rate.
Awesome.
We tried for 11.5 years. The boy fought a battle I can't even imagine fighting. He had chemo, radiation over and over again, 11.5 years. He had 2 stem cell transplants. He was in intensive care. 1 year, he was in the hospital about 345 days out of 365 in a year. In intensive care over and over again. We were on a first name basis with all the nurses in intensive care, dialysis. Every organ in his body had been affected through all of the treatments he was receiving. We all know chemo and radiation can kill bad cells, but they can't differentiate between good and bad cells, so they would attack good cells as well. And he had broken bones all over his body. By the time he passed away at age 31, his inside body, I would guess, was about 90 years of age. So,
wow.
So it was hard. It was a very hard battle for him. It was a very hard battle for us as parents, me and Ken, to watch him fight it. And as a nurse, I was always able to kiss their boo-boos, put a Band-Aid on it, and make the problems go away. I couldn't do that this time.
Right. Just couldn't do it.
Hard.
Amazing. That's an amazing story. And I know that's a hard story for you to share. And I know afterwards you went through what you have told me are seasons of grief.
Yeah.
Would you want to share maybe a portion of one of those seasons so that we can better understand how to help people who are grieving? And then maybe we can talk about some things you've used that have helped you.
Yes. Grief is, sometimes it sounds textbook, because we hear of the stages of grief. And
Mm-hmm.
when I was in nursing school, I heard stages of grief as in you go through stage 1, then stage 2, then stage 3, 4, and 5, and then you're over grief. No. First of all, there's no lineage to it. You don't go through, your stage 1 might be different than someone else's stage 1. The way you get through a stage may be different than someone else gets through a stage. That is very hard to understand until you have to go through it. It's not a club anyone wants to join, but grief is a club we all, if we've lost someone dearly, we go through it. I describe grief as very hard and difficult, but necessary. It's totally necessary. Anger is one that's been something that has, some people say I get angry at God. Some people get angry at the one who's left. I can explain if you want to know where my anger came from, and I had already gone through it before I realized I had gone through it. And then looking back on it, I can see that's what it was, and then I can see why I went through it that way. I think sometime we may want to do a Facebook Live just on the stages of grief.
Sure, let's do
I
that.
think that'd be great.
Let's do that because I know you and I have talked a lot about it, and you have such a wonderful perspective because you're very open and honest that you still deal with it, and yet how it's almost just become a part of who you are. And that every stage is very normal. It's not odd or awkward. Whatever you feel is just something you need to work with and work through. And so I love the fact that you've been so honest and open about it. And that's why I truly think you have such a way of sharing that may bring comfort to those who are struggling with maybe feeling even guilt over still having grief. That is just a very normal thing. So, can you tell us a little bit though, as you, because you and I obviously are both hippie Oilers together. Well, you're not so hippie. I'm probably pretty hippie. Hippie Oilers together. Did you ever find that as you were going through these waves of emotion or grief, that there were oils that you actually used through application or through diffusing that helped you? And were they specific? And would you mind sharing with us maybe specifically ones that you used?
Sure. Well, as I said, we lost Eric 5.5 years ago, and I was introduced to these oils 3.5 years ago. So I went through 2 years of struggling. At one time was put on some prescription meds that made me feel zany and crazy. I didn't want to take them. And being a nurse, I have a love-hate relationship with prescription meds. I feel like some may be necessary. They all have side effects. So I didn't want to do that. So you were the first one that I met when I was introduced to oils, and I've got them here. I'm going to show you. They may come out backwards like a mirror image, but
Okay.
Joy
Okay.
was.
And can I just jump in here real quick so we can keep this FDA compliant? You're basically sharing with us that these were oils you used to help with emotions. You didn't have any clinical diagnosis or thing you were addressing.
No, it was
Correct.
all
Awesome.
emotional. Grief is emotional.
Awesome.
It can manifest
Okay.
other ways, but yeah, this is what I used.
For emotional wellness. Okay, thanks.
Joy, stress away,
okay,
and peace and calming.
Okay. How did you use those? How'd you use those?
Well, I sort of just came up with a way because they all helped me feel better. I made a little blend of my own in a little bottle with equal amounts of joy, peace and calming, and stress away. And I would apply them on my wrist. I would apply them behind my ears. Sometimes I would just open the bottle up and inhale them and smell them through my nose. Get them in my limbic system. There was a one day that I know I've told you the story. I was sitting in a car line at Lakeview Elementary School in Greenwood waiting to pick up my granddaughter. And these moments will come about me like whether I was sitting there having dinner, watching TV, and there was no sign to tell me it was coming. And I would feel like bricks were on my shoulders. I felt like I couldn't breathe. That was the emotional symptoms that I had of it. And I finally learned to recognize that's what it was. That's what it was coming from. And so I was sitting there waiting in the car line, and I looked at my watch to be sure, when the kids were coming out in about 15 minutes or so. And I was in the car, and I just felt it. And I felt like tears were coming, and I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't breathe. And it was just overwhelming. And I said, I can't let my grandchild come out and see me like this. So, because I'm just that way. So I took the blend of peace and calming, stress away, and joy out. I put some on my wrist. I sat in the car and just smelled it and smelled it and smelled it and inhaled it and held it. And suddenly I woke up. I had fallen asleep in the car from all this. It was 10 minutes later because I'd looked at the watch.
Wow.
And I felt like the bricks were gone and I was breathing. And it was just a calming experience. And I thought, okay, I'm going to be okay when Savannah comes out and gets in my van. I'm going to be fine. Yeah. So that's how they relieved my stress from grief at the moment.
Wow. So you kind of rode it like a wave. So sometimes your waves are like tiny little ripples like on a lake, and sometimes they're like tsunami waves like over in Hawaii and wherever
yes.
they have.
And
is it kind of, and do they come and go at weird times? Do you find that they still come on as strong this many years later?
5.5 years later, I still have them. Over time, and that differs with everybody, it may come more days may be in between you having one of those little spells. I call them my funk. When I'm getting my funk, I can't get out. And when they do come on, they seem to last not as long. And now that I've experienced it so long, I know I can make it pass. I know it's not my life for that whole day. It might be my life for a minute, 15 minutes, whatever, but I can make it within about 10 minutes of using these oils and inhaling them and putting them on, applying them. In about 10 minutes, I would say I feel okay, I'm going to make it through the day. Another one was, I will say I've never had a medical history of any cardiovascular issues, but sometimes when that happens, I feel like my cardiovascular system is running its own race and just out there. And then ylang.
Bye, Felicia.
Ylang,
it's like I'm out of here.
Ylang. I will take that oil and put it over my heart and up my chest.
Like this?
Over my heart, up my throat.
Okay.
And again, in about 10 minutes, my cardiovascular system is back with me in rhythm again. So my rhythm's here. And so they just get me through. Just get me through.
Amen. So I think because we'll want to go ahead and probably I could talk to you forever, Gail, but that's because you're like my sister. But we'll do this again.
Let's do.
Do you think you want to hop on here and let's visit this again, because I know you have so much more to share. You're such a wealth of information. You have such a big heart. I know when you and I were talking last night about this, you said, Melanie, my whole mission is just to help people. So Gail has offered, if anybody, and it doesn't matter if you use essential oils or don't use essential oils, or you're in Young Living and you're not part of our tribe, although you're missing out because we're awesome.
Yes.
Gail would just love to talk you through this. And so she has said that if you want to thank you guys for the sweethearts. I know our internet connection is low, y'all. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I have amazing internet here. And, sometimes I think the devil doesn't want us to get a message out. So we're going to press through.
I believe it.
Amen. Gail has agreed if you would like to private message her on Facebook. This is something she and her husband Ken have a true heart for. They are some of the most amazing people I have been blessed to cross paths with. She would love to talk to you. So I'm going to type in her address, her way to Facebook message her in the comment section once this is over. But I'll go ahead and tell you guys now. It's Gail Stone Petrus. So her name is Gail, Gail Stone, Stone, Petrus, Petrus. Yes, she was a Stone and married a Petrus. Yeah. Don't you love her? She's awesome. And next time we'll have to touch on your story about how you met Ken. I love that one too. But until next time, sister, thank you so much for hopping on here, Gail. I love you. I think you're awesome. And thank you for being so open and honest. I know it's not easy to get on here and share things like that. But you know what? What you told me last night was, if you could touch or help one person, that it'd be worth it, and that you want to do all you can to honor Eric in this mission, because he had such a heart for people as well. So I honor you, Gail, for being on here, and I thank you and I bless you.
Thank you. I love you too.
Love you. All right. Love you guys. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Be happy, be healthy, be oily, live free.
Bye.